Something strange is happening in our skies. Not in space, not in the clouds, but right here on the ground. Where factories exhale heat like dragons, where planes slice through pressure like scalpels, and where chimneys don't just release smoke. They release ingredients, heat, moisture, particles, the very things a thunderstorm needs to be born. They're loud, they're violent, they light up the sky like nature's angry strobe light show. They crack open the night like the earth itself is speaking in sparks. But here's a question we never ask. What if we've started creating them ourselves? I'm not talking about special effects. I'm talking about real, fully formed, sky-splitting electrical storms, born not in clouds but in chimneys, cooling towers, and exhaust pipes. Welcome to the Unbuildable Lab, where logic takes a backseat to curiosity. Today's question: can humans actually manufacture a thunderstorm? And no, this isn't about dancing in the rain or doing weird stuff with balloons and static. This is about how the modern industrial world, by accident or maybe by some strange cosmic dare, has begun to recreate the wildest force in the sky. We'll explore polluted skies, rogue particles, invisible currents, and the kind of unintended weather experiments that make climate scientists lose sleep. Because maybe, just maybe, the same machines that power our world are also whispering to the clouds. So grab your metaphorical lightning rod and stand exactly where your insurance says you shouldn't. Let's find out if we're just changing the weather or becoming the weather. They seem chaotic, explosive, random. But a thunderstorm is anything but accidental. At its core, it's just a machine of imbalance, an epic struggle between temperature, pressure, and particles that don't know when to quit. Imagine warm, moist air rising through the atmosphere like steam from a boiling pot. As it climbs, it cools. The moisture condenses into clouds. But inside those clouds, things get dramatic. Tiny water droplets and ice crystals begin to collide. Again and again. These collisions build up electrical charges, positive at the top, negative at the bottom. Basically, it's static electricity. If static electricity had a vendetta and access to cloud armor, eventually the imbalance becomes too much. The cloud discharges violently, a lightning bolt, slashing through the sky like nature's reset button. And that sudden explosion of heat? It superheats the air, causing it to expand faster than your last bad decision. That's thunder. A sonic boom of regret and ionized fury. So yes, storms are natural, but they follow rules. They need the right ingredients: moisture, instability, vertical lift, and just enough chaos to make things interesting. And here's where it gets weird. Some of those ingredients? Humans are really good at creating them, sometimes on purpose, sometimes not. If you want to build a thunderstorm, nature demands one thing above all: instability. And guess what modern industry is accidentally fantastic at producing? That's right, thermal chaos, particles, and enough hot air to power a weather system. Every day, thousands of factories, power plants, and cooling towers exhale massive columns of hot, moist air into the sky. Not gracefully, not responsibly, more like a mechanical volcano that's had too much espresso. This rising air lifts water vapor high into the atmosphere, just like a natural storm would. Now here's the twist. That industrial exhaust is not just hot. It's packed with microscopic particles, ash, dust, pollutants. To nature, these are cloud-making gold. They act as condensation nuclei, tiny scaffolds for water vapor to cling to. Basically, we're handing clouds their starter kits. Cities like Beijing, Houston, and New Delhi have seen storm clusters form around industrial zones. Weather cells literally orbiting factories like angry satellites. There's even a term for it: urban convection enhancement. Sounds fancy. Really means, we built a thunderstorm by heating the sky and throwing junk into it. And don't get us started on airports. Jet engines create rapid heat shifts, pressure disturbances, and microbursts of turbulence that can kickstart storm systems around busy air corridors. We wanted faster flights. We accidentally got cloud chaos. So while we're not intentionally making thunderstorms in most cases, we're definitely building the perfect playground for them. Hot air? Check. Particles? Check. Vertical lift? Big check. Modern industry is like that friend who says, "I didn't touch anything," while standing next to the lightning bolt. We didn't plan to recreate the sky's temper tantrum, but we might have just built its favorite stage. Lightning is raw, unpredictable, the kind of energy that melts sand into glass and fries trees into toothpicks. So, naturally, we tried to make it ourselves. Let's start with the obvious name: Nikola Tesla, the original thunder magician. He didn't just dream of wireless power, he built machines that could create artificial lightning bolts inside his lab. Spoiler, They were loud, beautiful, and occasionally terrifying to his neighbors and pigeons. Fast forward a century and we've gone full mad scientist. Researchers now use laser-guided lightning systems, literally firing laser beams into storm clouds to attract bolts. Because what could go wrong with pointing high-energy beams at the sky during a thunderstorm? Then there's rocket-triggered lightning. Yes, we actually shoot rockets into clouds while dragging copper wires behind them. This creates a perfect path for lightning to follow, like guiding a cosmic beast with a leash. It works. It's spectacular. And yes, it's very loud. And dangerous. And also, super cool. Even particle accelerators like CERN have accidentally created lightning-like discharges in their systems. Why? Because when you shove enough energy into a tiny space, nature claps back with voltage. And let's not forget experimental reactors that simulate plasma bursts, tiny, contain thunderbolts dancing in magnetic fields. Not as flashy but still enough to fry a sandwich, or a small intern. The truth? We can create lightning. Short bursts, controlled paths, tiny arcs in labs. What we can't do yet is scale it safely, freely, and repeatedly. Because once you invite lightning to the party, you'd better have fire insurance and a backup plan. But the fact that we're even trying? That's the most human thing of all. We saw the sky explode and thought, yeah, I bet we could do that. So we can mimic the sky's drama. But what happens when our little experiments go global? Turns out, when humans mess with the atmosphere, even by accident, we don't just get flashy clouds and occasional lightning. We get a whole cascade of chaos, with side effects Mother Nature never authorized. Take industrial pollution. Those particles that help form clouds? They also block sunlight. This leads to a phenomenon called global dimming. Less sunlight hitting the surface, disrupting rainfall patterns and confusing crops that still think it's summer. And then there's acid rain. When factories throw out sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides, those mix with water vapor and fall as rain. That melts statues, rusts bridges, and turns mountain lakes into vinegar. Some regions have experienced unseasonal hailstorms, flash floods, or weeks-long cloud cover, all linked to man-made emissions that distort the local balance. Entire weather systems have shifted, with desert zones getting floods and lush zones drying out. Climate roulette. And when one country's industrial activities generate artificial clouds that drift across borders and flood someone else's farmland, that's not just a forecast. That's an international incident. Even our efforts to intentionally manipulate the sky, like cloud seeding, haven't gone smoothly. China once launched a campaign to clear the skies before the Olympics using silver iodide rockets. The result? Clear skies, and nearby villages soaked like sponges left in a monsoon. The scary part? We're doing all this without truly understanding the long-term consequences. We've poked the cloud, and the cloud may have a long memory. So while we chase lightning like a magic trick, we may be redrawing the world's climate maps. With smoke, steam, and just a hint of hubris, we set out to answer a strange question. Can humans create a thunderstorm? And it turns out, yes. Not in the clean, cinematic way, but in the messy, complicated, almost accidental way that defines most of human progress. We've learned to build clouds, stir the sky, even call down lightning. Not with divine power, but with exhaust pipes, electric pulses, and a touch of scientific audacity. The weather is no longer a distant mystery. It's becoming a side effect of our machines, our inventions, our obsession with control. But here's the twist. The more we try to command the sky, the more we realize we're still part of its system. Connected, vulnerable, and not nearly as in charge as we thought. Maybe that's the real storm we've unleashed. Not in the clouds, but in ourselves. So the next time thunder shakes your windows or lightning flashes like a divine camera flash, ask yourself, is that storm natural? Or just another byproduct of human imagination? This is the Unbuildable Lab, where reality is optional and wonder is mandatory. Where we don't just explain the impossible, we try to build it. Like, subscribe and bring an umbrella. We'll see you in the next impossible experiment.